Are you sure?
Let me think about it. No, I don't think so.
Trevor, bro, it's snowing. Fuck this place.
Snowing right now?
It's snowing. What is the temperature where you're at? Hey guys, it's snowing outside. Yeah, it's snowing. What is the temperature where you are, Trevor?
It's actually quite colder these last few days. It's 64 right now.
Jesus. Fucking snowing.
Like just light drizzle.
Yeah, it's like the half rain, half snow shit, but it is definitely clearly snowing. Like in other words, like it's like you hear rain, but then also like 90% of the raindrops are falling slower than they typically would. They're glittery.
Is this the first snow you've seen this year?
Oh, that's probably so bad for my bike. Yeah, it is. Oh wow. No, it's not terrible, but God, it's probably not good. Jesus. Um, you. Disgusting. Um, but yes, this is the first snow. Yeah, it's early. Um, but uh, dude, you should watch that drug video like right now. It's literally like 3 minutes long total, 1 minute 30 seconds after you watch it with 2 times speed, and it's good enough. It's just fun.
Oh, this is an interesting message. What about this? We could have one perception structure or music structure encompass everything in the right brain, as you say, and then the perception structure can be divided into two categories, texture and action. Both are results and interpretations of the perception structure. Also, we have two systems of three things, one for perception and one for frameworks, and also had three terms for reality, existence, experience, and expression. We have completed the trinity of infinity.
Existence, experience, and expression. How the fuck does that chart onto xzaayzx, and xzaayzx? Not at all, really.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about the last few days. I'm trying to reintegrate it into my understanding. It's a very different understanding. Your azyx, xzaayzx, and xzaayzx is a lot more broader conceptual framework of the person's like role in the universe, but existence, experience, and expression is supposed to like be like a framework magnifying glass on each individual experience or stimuli that a person can have, and the goal is that any given stimuli you can find all of existence and all of God in that thing.
So how does it work? Explain like what that would feel like to run the existence expression. Like, I don't even understand what those three terms mean anymore.
You eat, Trevor?
Not yet.
You have not eaten?
Not yet.
Okay.
Um,
How do you explain experience, expression, xzaayzx, or
yeah, I actually changed the terms around. I would think it would be existence, expression, and then experience. And so, to make it as simple as possible, every single thing that you are aware of and can be conscious of is inherently a part of experience. And for that experience to occur, it has a set of metaphysical excitations that exist for that sensation to occur. And so it tracks every stimuli down to its source. And so to give a analogy, if you have a painting, right? You have the paint itself, right? The paint in itself, just the substance that has the potential to be anything. And then from that, you have the shape of that paint, right? So you have red over here and yellow over here in a certain ratio, right? And then on top of that, you have the mind's recognition of that thing. So you have the paint, the shape of the paint, and then the image the brain sees. And the idea is that there is a metaphysical version of that, where any given experience, like let's say the computer right in front of me, the experience is anything that possibly I think of or I have an opinion of or I'm conscious of about that thing. And I realize that that thing has a metaphysical existence that is made up of a underlying single substance, the same substance that exists everywhere else in the world. And that substance is forming a particular pattern such that when I view that pattern, it is in the shape of a computer. And I recognize it as such, and I act in it as such.
It's locked down. Well,
Keep going, Trevor.
And another
No, don't.
analogy would be
No. I need my phone. I'm going to bed.
Okay, follow me. Keep going, Trevor.
so another analogy would be let's say the sun. Then there is the light the sun gives off, and then there is what you see from the sun. So like your awareness, how the light interacts so that you are able to see. And it's a set of 3 principles that it's very hard to describe linguistically in language, but it is there mentally.
Gavin, give me your phone charger.
Oh.
You don't have a phone anymore?
No.
Yes, give me your phone charger. Yes, you can have it back whenever you need it.
No.
Yes, Gavin. Gavin, I'm going to start hurting you in 3 seconds if you can't just charge it. Gavin, I have another phone that can charge with it. You don't use it. You don't have a phone. Give me your phone charger.
You can't charge anything with
I
it.
have an iPhone that I'm trying to charge. You don't have a phone. Then go get it right now.
I'm getting it too.
What were you saying, Trevor?
Oh yeah. So just
So
to sum it up, using an analogy we talked about previously. So in the same way that you can look at text and it can look like an alien language. So to understand that with this framework, so right, there's a black line, right, and that black line can take any shape, and that black line so happens to be in the shape of, let's say, a cross. Well, when we see that, we think of a T, and now there's 3 layers of that. There's the blackness, there's the shape of the blackness, and there's the meaning that we receive from it. If that makes sense.
No, it does. I remember like coming up with this. Roughly, it's like, you have the source, you have the form of the source, and then you have the experience which results from that form.
Yeah. An alliteration I thought of was there's the fabric, the flow, and the form. The baseline fabric, which has a certain particular flow, and that flow creates a form. And all that we see around us are forms. We see objects, we see things that we can interact with and that we know of. But they come from those underlying layers that we can't necessarily think of with our minds, but we know of as metaphysically there. And so like the most mainstream version of this would be like Immanuel Kant, philosopher. He had the difference between phenomena and noumena, which was the difference between the world as we experience it and the world as it is in itself, or the thing in itself. And this kind of is a better magnification of that, a better descriptive of that.
Yeah, what a weird framework. What a weird framework. Because like you can get to silence through it, but like you're basically gonna get there through like a bare awareness type of thing, where you're gonna become God, but it's so similar to the one we have now, in a different way. Where the one we have now is like you're gonna become God through understanding everything as a framework. So by understanding everything as code. And this is like the same thing. Where like you're gonna understand that you're God by realizing that like everything is just another fold of the same form. But they're like the same framework in the end. They're both gonna inevitably result in you understanding that just through like inseparability you are God.
Well, yeah, and then once the framework connects that, all right, so the things that I'm looking at, they are in existence. So I'm looking at external existence, but I am a part of existence. So my thoughts are also a part of that existence. So the thing thinking is a part of that existence that I am deconstructing. And then that gets that wormhole where like that thinking can no longer like think about the lack of thinking, and it sort of seizures.
I got some weird fucking sack of fluid on my gums. I've never felt that before. That was bizarre. But anyways, basically what you're saying is that whenever you run this framework, you're inevitably going to realize that like in your words, if the flow is the particular pattern of the fundamental substance, then the experience is going to be like just your experience of that flow. But then inevitably you're going to understand your experience of that flow as a flow in itself, and therefore you're going to cease individuality, right?
Yeah. And it also has the added benefit of once you know that there is an objective stimuli out there and that what you're receiving of it is your interpretation of that thing, you know that your narrative of that thing can be controlled because that is not the thing in itself. It is you. What you think of it, if it has an emotion or a thought to it, then that is you, not it. And that can be changed. So if there's a negative stimuli, if there's a negative flow pattern, that does not have to affect or if there's a negative form, that can be deconstructed down to its flow and its fabric to the point where it no longer serves as a negative stimuli.
Yeah, I see how that works. How weird. How similar is it to the one that exists right now, but it feels different too. That's strange.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hmm. Weird. I'm trying to think of explaining the main difference. Are you recording right now? Did I already ask that?
Yes, I'm recording.
Um,
So far, we have like about 3.5 hours.
not bad. Most of it's garbage, but some of it's good. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain the differences. I mean, if like it kind of just comes down to our current one is a much more rigorous explanation. Of sort of the same phenomena. And also, if I just name another difference, it would be that our current one is rooted in the maximum efficiency principle. So it's not just like an observatory framework; it's actually like an action framework, which is both good and bad. Like the one that you just brought up is almost better in a way because it's so like simple. It's so literally like just if you just observe things from this perspective, you will instantly reap the reward. Where a modern one is kind of like you have to also fit within particular action parameters, which sort of both holds it back, but then also it both holds it back because you need to meet the parameters to successfully run the framework. Whereas on the other one, there just is a true nature of reality, and based on your deepening understanding of that true nature, you will reap more rewards. And so essentially my point is that with the rigidity, with the necessity to conform to the pattern, you gain stability and like coherent form. So like if I explained the modern day framework to someone who's completely oblivious to anything we're talking about, then they're at least going to be able to get like a general understanding. Whereas if I explain what you just explained to someone who doesn't know what we're talking about, they'd just be like, you're retarded. Like what you're talking about is insane. Like there's the text, there's the black ink, and then there's the form of the black ink, and then there's the actual thing. Like it's so like completely conceptual, and it lacks rigidity so much that while it's almost easier to run, it's so much harder to explain.
I don't know. I feel like because it is in itself a framework that uses the external world it benefits by using those external world examples. Because the physical world acts that way, the analogy like fits in perfectly for it. I think, at least.
So how does that analogy not apply to the code, though?
Well, I mean, the coding is very, very. I mean, I could just deconstruct the coding with the same framework. There is the let's say the individual letters and numbers that make up the coding, and then there's the coding in itself, and then there's the effect that has on the program.
Why?
You seem suspicious. Go ahead. So just say that all over again, Trevor.
So there's the individual units of the coding, which are the numbers and the letters, and then there is the coding in itself as a system, and then there is the effect that that system has on the program, which would be the video game character or whatever.
How's that different?
Come again?
Eyeball.
Huh?
I didn't hear you.
What? I said, how's that different?
Oh, it's not different. It's just I'm using your coding example and I'm deconstructing it using that framework.
No, I asked a specific question though. It was how did what you say not apply to the coding? That was my question. It's like how does the real world example not apply to the coding? I don't understand. What's different? How are they different?
Elaborate on that question. What do you mean? What is the real world example?
Look, you used the word real world example. You said, I think because this old framework has the real world examples, I think that it's going to allow it to be explained easier. I was like, well, how do those real world examples not apply to the coding? And then you never answered the question.
Well, okay. I think the coding is a good example, but I think the coding in itself is a symptom of what I'm describing.
I don't elaborate.
So again, I'm saying nearly every single thing, every product of existence has these levels in it. So when you bring up something like coding, I can find those levels in it. And the only reason why those coding works as an example is because it fits those levels. And like coding is a good example, but like it would probably be the prominent one, but you can also use others and they would all have the same pattern to it.
You're not exactly answering what I'm asking, but I think I got what I needed from you. Hold on, let me think for a second.
This still work?
No. It just doesn't work, fucking morons. Stop working. That's what happened to it. Basically, the gist I'm getting, essentially the heart of what you said, and the part that rings true is that the coding works because it is an example of this thing. But this thing works so well because it is not an example. It is the thing which makes all examples true. It is the through line between all true examples. It is better than any individual example because it is the principle which each of those examples will rest upon. And because it is this true nature, it's the more accurate version of the fundamental thing. Would you say that's a correct summary of your position?
I mean, I would say like as far like coding is the best one, but like at least for my learning style particularly, like is seeing all the different ways to describe that one thing and then finding the pattern between it. So I would want to teach people through multiple analogies, not just the coding. The coding one is the one that makes the most sense, but for specific examples, I can build a broader model that shows you exactly what I'm talking about, because if you see a map of every way it affects the real world, you would find the middle point, which is what I'm trying to get at. And the coding gets that more so than the others individually, but all of them together, I think, gets the message across. So I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that there's also room for other analogies.
Are you retarded?
What?
No. What you said makes perfect sense. I feel like that's what I said though. I don't feel like you said anything different. I think what you said is basically the same thing where you said that what's true about what you're saying is the fact that it isn't an analogy. It's the pattern which underlies all analogies and makes them true. Like what you're noting isn't an analogy. What you're noting is the thing that the analogy is trying to point out.
Yeah.
So in the same way, you could say there's a red line, and you could say there's a line in the sand, right? Both of those are pointing towards there being a certain criteria of which you should not escape, right? So if the red line or the line in the sand for Israel is killing 40 babies or whatever, right? And then you cross that line, or you meet that banned criteria, then you've now gotten at the heart of the analogy, right? Because the heart of both analogies is that if you do this thing, then you have now attained not responsibility, but you've now attained like the moral justification for a reaction, basically. And so, like, but that's what both those analogies are trying to get at. Dude, you can hear how much my mind's melted. My mind is just so much shittier compared to what it was like 4 days ago. But anyways, what are you doing, you actual fucking lobotomite? What are you doing behind me? Taking apart pins. Go do that somewhere else, you fucking cretin. But so in the same way, both of those analogies are trying to get at the fundamental idea of not doing something. Both the analogy of reality as code and the analogy of reality as quantum particles are both pointing towards the same phenomena, which is that on the base level, reality is just the pieces. It is literally just the pieces, right? That's correct, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and disassembling the pieces will tell you how they got there in the first place.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And when you specifically get the idea that like the thoughts in your head and the outside world are made of the same fabric, then the outside world becomes the inner world. And that's like the best of sub one. And that is like it turns this into an alien environment. It's like a playground framework for the open world. Oh, it's both a playground framework for the open world, like a sandbox, but also it can be used in the reverse, whereas instead of focusing on the external stimuli of the external world, which is constantly fluctuating, and you can be quite busy doing that, if you do the reverse of that and focus on one singular inner point, which is just meditation, then you would also find that existence, but not existences as reflections of God in every individual point, like Indra's net across your screen of reality, but instead in that one singular point. So it has that both inner and outward mechanic, depending on.
So you said you were working on the experiment recently?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it more, and I'm trying to have a model for it that's more expansive.
Making a new creation.
So you said that you've been working on this lately, and then you just happened to see this in Voxer?
Yeah, I had no idea that would be right there. And I guess that would have been like when I first solidified that idea as a trinity of infinity with the other ideas.
So you said you were trying to come up with Are you still there?
Yeah.
I thought my phone died. Okay, so you said you were trying to come up with a more rigid model for it, right? A more whatever you said. You said you were trying to come up with a more. You said you were trying to come up with.
Yeah.
Won't that inherently become an analogy? Isn't it kind of finished? Isn't it a framework that kind of can't become more rigid because by making it more rigid, you are making it analogous for the fundamental concept, which is the whole point of the framework, is that you can't do that.
Um, I think it depends on the model. Where the model doesn't have to be an analogy in itself. I am still in that process, and when I get answers, I'll let you know. It will be an exciting day.
I don't know why I just lost like a pound of flesh from the inside of my mouth. Um,
Oh, no, I'm good.
nah, didn't feel great either. But anyways,
Wait, from where?
My gums. True. Go ahead and stop and restart the recording, Trevor.
All right.
Good?
Hold on.